Today's video is going to talk about generalized imitation. Generalized imitation is perhaps the most important skill a student can ever have. Generalized imitation allows a student to copy a teacher, a parent, someone in their neighborhood, a person they don't know, but it allows them to copy other people and to acquire new skills by just watching it and observing. And how do we get to generalized imitation? So generalized basically means that they can copy a behavior for the first time that they see it. All right. Before that, we actually have to do imitation drills. So imitation drills run across the board. We have gross motor, then we have fine motor. We can do oral motor things where they have to copy facial expressions, or drills with their making sure that they're aware of their mouth, or their tongue. We can do drawing imitation, where we make a square and they're expected to make that, or just a line or a horizontal line. We can do sound imitation, where we make our voices go up, we make them go down. We have an upward intonation, we have a downward intonation. We can do fast talking, we can do slow talking, so we can do imitation with that. We can do imitation of objects, where we take things in our hands and we throw them up and then they have to copy that imitation. We can do multiple step imitation, where we do 1-step imitation, 2-step, 3-step, so a child has to watch all steps of that imitation before they're allowed to copy. All of those things will help lead to generalized imitation, the ability to copy something, physically imitate someone else for the first time that they see it. When a student has generalized imitation abilities, it allows them to learn so many other things. When a student knows how to copy someone, you can then start to use models of tasks as instructions. Video models become something that you can use to teach someone, so someone can actually go onto YouTube and watch someone do something, and then they can do that. You can use physical models when you're teaching in your classroom, and a student is going to be able to immediately do what you're showing them how to do. So generalized imitation is the bottom skill that we have to have students do in order for them to be able to learn from others. And honestly, this is probably the most important skill that you can teach a child who is lower functioning or has significant disabilities, or maybe on the autism spectrum. So we want to think about how we can produce generalized imitation. Again, you first start with doing specific imitations in the gross motor area. So in order to do that, one of the things you can do, if your student has some baseline learner skills, you don't even have to give a demand. You could just do this, and they copy you, right? But we don't want to necessarily start there if they don't have good listener, good learner behaviors, right? If they don't sit still in a chair for a while, if they don't know to be aware of you or watch you or look at you, they don't know that that is the expectation, you might need to have some type of instruction or demand you deliver as your antecedent in this discrete trial format. So it might be, do this. And the student knows that they need to copy you, right? It might be, copy me. Nice job, you stood up and sat down. So that would have been a 2-step gross motoring, right? When you're first teaching this, you might need a second person behind your student or your child in order for them to know what to do after an instruction is delivered. So pretend I'm 2 people, all right? The first thing, as the instructor, I would say, do this, right? And if a student does not do it, you would have a second person come in from behind the student, someone who is outside of their visual view, and that second person would then have them copy the instructor, right? And so that second person is always behind the student. They are not part of the communication partner piece between the student and the teacher. They are a prompter from behind. So you want to make sure you stay out of their visual view. All right, so that's a gross motor. Now, you want to start with gross motor because those involve the large muscles, and they're the easiest for other people to prompt. It's the easiest muscle group for students to control. Fine motor is much more difficult to control. But there are some fine motor things you can do. You can have the student do this. Right? So there's a wide range of imitation that you can do with a student. But again, generalized imitation, the ability to copy somebody, is the baseline for most instruction. If you have this skill, then you can learn through observation. You can learn when you go into new environments. You can learn from a whole host of teachers, right? Because it's generalized. It doesn't have to do with a specific teacher and a specific instruction. It is generalized to all environments, all teachers, right? So that is the baseline skill that we need our students to acquire, generalized imitation.